Speaker Johnson, this has been nothing short of a horrific day. Tell me what you're thinking tonight.
I have a lot of thoughts right now. Devastating to hear that account from Miss Terry there. Our hearts go out to all the students who are there, everyone who's experienced this. The video's been online. But clearly, to the young widow of Charlie, to his young children, to all of his friends and family, we all are counted among his friends. Something happened on Capitol Hill today. We were talking right before we came on the air. It's changed the atmosphere in the place, of one of alarm, shock. I was just communicating with Charlie, I don't know, a few days back. He was a good friend. It doesn't seem real. And what we loved about Charlie was that he loved to engage debate, and he genuinely respected and genuinely loved, in a Christian manner, the people on the other side of the table. He didn't hate anybody. You know, he had vigorous debate, but that's kind of the point. But he was trying to win the argument, but he had great compassion for the people that he was debating, always. And he had the right heart about it. He represented free speech. You know, we talk about the free marketplace of ideas, and I think President George W. Bush said the college campus is supposed to be that. Charlie Kirk, I think, contributed more productive content to the free marketplace of ideas than anyone in his generation. It's a great and tragic loss, and we'll be dealing with this for quite a long time.
When you say it changed the mood on Capitol Hill today, I mean, we just saw reaction coming in from Republicans and Democrats alike condemning this. What do you mean that you think it changed the mood?
Well, in that sense, it unifies everybody on both sides of the aisle. We have to call out political violence. I think there is a recognition, some are saying it openly, some more quietly, that the vitriol, the level that is there now, the hatred that has been fomented, you know, there's a time that we've got to turn the volume down. And I think there's a lot of the people, I think, that find pleasure in stoking that fire, and it's dangerous. There are deranged people in society, and if they are encouraged along this way, they will do dangerous things, increasingly so. We see that. So I think that members of Congress have come to that recognition. I think many of them are nervous, of course. They're public figures. They're exposed all the time, everywhere. We have great security measures for members of Congress, but there's a desire on many people's parts to have more. These are the new realities. I think social media has been a toxin in politics. I think it has added to this vitriol. But at the end of the day, I think the call is that we've got to recognize once more that we are all fellow Americans. We should see one another as colleagues and fellow citizens and fellow countrymen, and not as enemies. That's not what Charlie Kirk represented. He genuinely loved the debate because he genuinely loved the people. And I think that's a really important thing for us to remember.
On lawmakers, I mean, have you heard from members who want heightened security because of what happened to Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, of course. There's been a deluge of that. I mean, from the moment all this took place. And we're looking at that. We have to take serious measures for serious times. But you know, the encouragement again is to resort to our better angels, as Abraham Lincoln reminded the people at another time of great division. And, you know, to get back to the fundamental principles. This is not who we are in America. You know, we're founded on these founding principles that we're going to celebrate in earnest next year on our super centennial.
Yeah.
You know, it's built on the idea that we're all created equal. We're all made in the image of God, and everybody has inestimable dignity and value. We need to treat one another with civility, and I think this is an important reminder.
Well, and it's notable to hear you say that there are lawmakers who want more security as a result of this. I don't think that's surprising to anyone to just see what happened, because he did have security that was there with him. Obviously, the campus obviously could have used more. But on what you were saying there about what people say in this political environment, especially where it's turbocharged a lot of times on Capitol Hill, and do you think today provides a greater recognition of how sometimes those messages come across to other people who take them more seriously maybe than some members of Congress do when they're saying it or tweeting it or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's clear. You've had people who have resorted to political violence because they were encouraged along by the dialogue out in the public square, and some of that is put forward by elected officials and people with large platforms, large social media platforms, and and they're saying and doing things that make it personal, and people direct their anger to individuals. I mean, this is not who we are. We're better than this. We need to be setting an example as Americans. We are the free marketplace of ideas. We celebrate and defend vigorously free speech. Charlie Kirk did that as well as anybody that I know. You know, and he never shied away from debate, but he did it in the right spirit. And I think that's what we've got to get back to. You know, it wasn't personal.
You know, and what you said tonight, I mean, I think a lot of people look at this and say, I mean, everyone knows someone who voices their opinion or is this strong debate or maybe says something that is turning the rhetoric up. But in terms of what we saw on Capitol Hill tonight, I think everyone would agree elected leaders have a bigger responsibility than just anyone else. You were trying to call a moment of silence in the House earlier after we had confirmed that Charlie Kirk was killed today. I want people to see what happened on Capitol Hill when you tried to do that.
Let's wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
Can you tell those of us who weren't there what was happening there?
Yeah, we had convened. We were having an oath of office ceremony for a new member who was just elected in a special election, a Democrat. And we were going to vote in a series of votes on the National Defense Authorization Act. But before that, this was right after the event, we had just convened the House again. And I thought it was appropriate to have a moment of prayer and reflection for Charlie Kirk. As I was approaching the rostrum, people's phones were saying that he had been deceased, but it wasn't formally called yet. The emotion was very high in the room. We had a moment of silence, and after that, a member stood to be recognized and said, "Let's have open prayer." And that started a debate. And people felt like it was being politicized on the Democrat side of the aisle, I guess. There were some shouts and groans, and then the Republicans responded, and it turned into a little bit of chaos there. We had to bring order back and get back to it. But I think that was a reflection of the emotion of the moment, the real sense of kind of shock that people were feeling, I think justifiably, understandably. But I think after that, I think a lot of people will reflect upon things they said and did in that moment, and they probably regret it. Let's say this. I think there's a lot of people in the media who have said some things today that they probably regret. We need to be thinking thoughtfully about our language and what we're saying and how we treat one another. And this could be a big moment in America. I feel like something has changed. I do. I think it's a real moment in the country. You described the mood. Our President Trump described the mood. President George W. Bush, everyone. Let's use this for something positive and productive as we lift up in prayer Charlie's widow and young children and everybody involved in this.
But I wonder, you know, given that's what happened in the House of Representatives in a moment where you're just trying to call for a moment of silence, that people might see that and hear your words tonight and say, you sound more optimistic than others about turning it down or reaching that moment. What would you say to people who are skeptical about it?
Well, I understand the skepticism, but I do think we all need to be optimists. I mean, we're going to channel, you know, Abraham Lincoln. I mean, let us really appeal to our better angels. We're in a pivotal moment as a nation. We're coming up on our 250th birthday. We're still at a grand experiment in self-governance. We don't know how long this grand experiment will last. We don't have a monarch. We don't have a king to sort things out. It's government of, by, and for the people ourselves. It means the people should be engaged. They should be informed. They should engage in thoughtful debate, as Charlie Kirk was a model and a leader in. But at the end of the day, you can't take that home and you can't hate the person on the other side. We're all in this together. And we do well to remember that. And when we do, then we are optimistic because we remember what's great about our country.
Well, and the point we were making at the beginning of the show was that he was having debates with people who, I mean, a lot of people don't like his viewpoints or disagreed with them, but he debated with those people who didn't. And, you know, you talked about members being worried about their security. Understandably, they get a lot of threats. Yep. And, you know, just judges, we see this all the time. The president mentioned judges there. We've seen how that's happened and that's played out. What would you say to your members about the importance of having those face-to-face conversations with people they disagree with?
Well, I've been talking about this since before I got to Congress almost 9 years ago, my first act as a member of Congress was to draft a document called the Commitment to Civility. We got every member of the freshman class except one person that year in 2017 to sign on, Republicans and Democrats. And the idea was we're going to have differences of opinion, but we have to treat one another with dignity and respect. That's not your enemy. That's your fellow American and colleague. Basically follow the golden rule. I mean, I'm an advocate of that, have been consistently all the time. I think we should engage the debate. I think it's incumbent upon, particularly members of Congress, to go out into that free marketplace of ideas and share their thoughts and take and receive and have dialogue with people who disagree. That's the beauty of America. We don't censor and silence disfavorable viewpoints. We
town
flesh them out.
halls and having people speak to their representatives.
Of course, but as you've seen how town halls have devolved now into these, shout fests, there's not productive dialogue. So, there's fault on all sides, but everybody needs to take a slow and steady account of that. I think as Governor Cox said in Utah today, he said, let's evaluate who we are and who we want to be. He's right about that. Now's a time of reflection for America. We can stop this and stop the trend, but we just got to respect one another.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, thank you for joining us here tonight on ZAP.
Thank you.
That's something that a lot of us were talking about on the House floor. I've got some of the most death threats in Congress, but today really isn't about me. And I think I just keeping my focus on Charlie's wife and his 2 young children, and of course his family and the whole Turning Point USA family. And it's the worst thing, shocking. And everyone's really devastated. My children are devastated. Just everyone I know. There really aren't words.
Can you speak to its importance to the conservative movement, to your own political rise?
I really think what was great about Charlie Kirk, and I was just telling Tia this, is he would go on college campuses and tell young people to get married and have children, and just talk about how wonderful it is to be married and have children. He shared the Word of God. He was a Christian, and he shared the gospel of Jesus Christ, and he encouraged young people. And he also would have debates on ideas on college campuses, which, I mean, that's our First Amendment, and college campuses have always been a place for that. And I believe today he was killed for the words that he says and the things that he stood for. And we're honestly shocked. We're devastated, shocked, and angry. And those are just natural feelings.
How close were you to him?
Charlie Kirk was a friend. He was a good friend. I spoke at many of his events over the years, knew him when he was a lot younger. And I mean, he's not much older than my oldest daughter, but I just think it's really, honestly horrific.
What kind of legacy does he leave behind to the conservative?
Charlie Kirk leaves a huge legacy. It's going to be hard for anybody to fill his shoes. He was extremely important. Students all over the country would get very excited if they found out he was coming to their college campus. He brought in thousands of people to hear him speak. Even people that didn't agree with him would come, ask questions, even argue with him. He was always about the debate. And Charlie Kirk was never for violence. And to see him murdered in such a graphic way, in front of the camera, and that video is too gruesome. Honestly, I hope it gets taken down. I don't think his wife or children one day should ever see it. I really hope it gets taken down. But I'm at a loss for words, and I'm not often at a loss for words.
How concerned are you about your own safety in the wake of this attack? I mean, he's a giant on the right. You were a giant on the right. Yeah,
Tia had asked me that too. Of course, I am very concerned. I have some of the most death threats in Congress, and they're always ongoing. But again, today it's not about me. Today it's about Charlie and his wife and his family and everyone that's mourning his loss. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One other disturbing thing is I was not aware of what happened, and I opened up X, and I'm seeing literally my friend get shot in the neck, bleeding out on the internet, which is horrible that people are even sharing that video. Every single political activist, every single group in the country that has ever called Republicans and conservatives fascists needs to condemn this violence.
What does he mean for the conservative movement?
well, it's not like the conservative movement is going to go away because of this, but if you don't think that this is going to make people infuriated for good reason, I mean, look at what just happened a couple days ago. Look at the rhetoric taking place around this. The president was literally shot over this. I've been saying this time and time again. You cannot call people Nazis, fascists, and expect this type of stuff to not happen. You cannot be in the press and tell people that they're losing their rights and all of this will go to hell in the handbasket because Donald Trump and Republicans have the House majority. It's just not true. But more importantly, Charlie Kirk is a dad. He has 2 young kids. He has a daughter and a son. He is a son himself. He's my friend. He's part of the reason why I'm in office right now. And it's awful that it's taking this type of stuff to happen very publicly for people to realize what they're doing is wrong.
What is your message to your fellow Democrats in Congress?
Stop with the rhetoric. You're getting people killed. You're going to get one of us killed too while you continue doing it. And frankly, I do appreciate that at least Jared Moskowitz has put out a statement condemning this because it cannot continue happening.
You said that you wouldn't have run for Congress without Charlie. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I was supposed to go to medical school. Charlie Kirk called me the day before I was supposed to leave and recruited me to go be the National Hispanic Outreach Director for the organization. I spent many of my first year becoming an activist, essentially going to those college campus events. I was with him at many of them debating those kids. And that conversation needs to be happy. You can't squelch that, but I mean, this is just, I have to go vote right now, but this is horrifying.